something that I...
Hey, you know what? You ain't got to do nothing, Uncle Phil. Hey, you know, ain't like I'm still 5 years old, you know? Ain't like I'm gonna be sitting up every night asking my mom, when's daddy coming home, you know? Who needs him? Hey, he wasn't there to teach me how to shoot my first basket, but I learned, didn't I? Hey, I got pretty damn good at it too, didn't I, Uncle Phil? Got through my first day without him, right? I learned how to drive, I learned how to shave, I learned how to fight without him. I had 14 great birthdays without him. He never even sent me a damn card. To hell with him! I ain't need him then and I don't need him now.
So now I get to experience corporate through a different lens. Throughout my entire life, I was so used to hustling, grinding, trying to move forward, trying to get better. But now I'm a salaried employee. And when you're a salaried employee, you got a paycheck coming in every 2 weeks. And it doesn't matter if you're great during those 2 weeks. It doesn't matter if you're bad during those 2 weeks. You're going to get paid the exact same amount. That was the mentality for a lot of people that I work with because they had experienced that their entire career up to this point. This was my first time experiencing it. So in my head, I'm still on grind mode. Every single thing that I do, I make sure I do it better than the next person. I make sure I work harder than the next person. I make sure I work more than the next person. And I worked that way still consistently. It didn't matter that I had, a paycheck coming in every 2 weeks. I was still hustling, grinding. At this time, I think I was making $53,000 an hour. I mean, now, that'd be crazy. I was making $53,000 a year. Obviously much higher than my $19 an hour that I was making as a contractor. So I'm starting to get a little bit more peace of mind in my personal life. I'm starting to have a little bit more of a breathing room. I don't have to stress every single day about what I'm going to eat, what my dog is going to eat. I'm not going to have to stress about taking my girl out on a date. I just started dating Kelly Rose, my wife now, but my girl at the time, I just started dating her. And, $19 an hour, you struggling trying to take a lady out on a date. But now I got more time to actually experience different things with her. So personally, I started to get a little bit better. Now that I had more time to get over some trauma, think about my past, connect with family members that I abandoned along the way, mend relationships with old friends. Because I was more financially stable, I had the time to do so, and I started to learn a little bit more about myself. And I started to realize how much of my past, how much of my trauma, how much of the stuff that I experienced was not as unique as a lot of the other people that I grew up with. A lot of other people in my community, they probably went through what I went through, if not worse, or in a different way. It still traumatized them, and that's the reason that they, how people will call us angry. That's the reason why they express themselves a certain way, or the reason that they seem angry, because they're not in the position that I was in, where I had money to actually sit there and think and deal with trauma. They didn't have the time to do so or anything like that. Even though I was working hard, I didn't have to work as hard after I got home. I actually had the time to sit there and breathe and relax and start to build a kingdom, start to, build with my lady, look for the long-term future. And I had to, I was able to talk to family, like get over some real dark trauma, right? I was able to express myself freely a little bit because I didn't have that financial burden. But when I went to work, I was in full beast mode. I just made sure that every single time I walked in, people knew that no one was going to outwork me. People knew that no one was going to receive better. I was an analyst at the time, so I did reporting and stuff like that. I was going to make sure that no one received better reports than me. No one was going to give better reports than me. No one was going to be a more essential piece to stakeholders than I was. I made sure that I was that guy. Like when you saw me, you was like, oh yeah, like Tariq's coming. Like, yeah, we need Tariq on our team, or we need Tariq to help solve this problem. So my name started to spread around throughout the company a little bit. People started to really respect me and started to listen to what I had to say. there was one time when Riley, his team was getting a little bigger. I think we was originally started off like 4 or 5 people. He started to move up, maybe around, let's say 6 or 7 people. And he needed a team lead, which essentially is like a supervisor to a manager. So we had interviews for it. I had the stakeholders on my side. Riley saw how hard I worked. We did a presentation to see whoever's presentation was best would get the role, and I killed that presentation. I got the job. Anytime I go into something, I pretend like I'm not going to get it, so I give it 120%. I don't care if I already seen the competition or anything like that. I'm still going to give it 120% as though I was going against myself. I always tried to make sure I was better than yesterday. So I killed it. I did that, and I got the role. Now I'm starting to be a leader, and I think my pay wasn't like, a lot, but it was pretty nice. It was like $64,000. So what did I go from 53 to 64? So now I'm doing even better financially. Now I can take my girl on 2 dates in the month instead of 1, or whatever the case. Whatever the case I would, whatever it was at the time. But now I'm starting to get my own taste of leadership. The first week I became a leader. My boy Riley goes on vacation, and we were managing people in Atlanta and Costa Rica. So someone from Costa Rica hit me up and asked me a question, and I gave him the answer. And remember, I work hard. Like if I give you an answer, I feel like you're getting a cheat code, because I put in the hours to give you something in 5 minutes. So and my tolerance for people that didn't work as hard as me was really low, but is really low still. Like, if I know I put in the work and I know you not, I don't really tolerate. I don't really have the patience to like play with you. Like, I'm gonna give you the answer. So somebody asked me a question in Costa Rica, and I told them the answer, and they was like, fighting me like, nah, this ain't it or whatever. And I said to him, I was like, yo, when Riley tells you to do something, do you push back on him, or are you doing this just because it's me? Yo, let me tell you something about leadership. No one can prepare you for it. You can take all the training, all the classes you want, but people are an unknown variable. People are always random. You never know what type of person you're gonna run into. So a week later, Riley gets back from vacation. He asks me, how was the team, what was going on. I give him a full report, everything. He looks at me, he goes, man, you did a great job, but it sucks I gotta have this conversation with you. I already knew what he was about. I was like, man, I was like, Riley, you for real? Like, look at everything else I did. Are you serious? He was like, yeah, I know, but listen, this is what happened because of what you did. So the person sends like an email in all Spanish, but like the caption, the title, the subject of the email is called Attitude. All capital letters, Attitude. The emails in Spanish. It was like paragraphs. I didn't know what it said, but you get the gist. They showed that email to Riley's boss, so my boss's boss, and a whole bunch of people in the Costa Rican office, right? Like random people. It was just like spreading this email around. Like, that's crazy. Saying I had an attitude and I was this and that, whatever the case is. And it showed me something. It taught me a lot during that day, is that no matter how hard you work, no matter how hard you put in, when you're a leader, like people look at you under a different lens. They look at you as though you need to be perfect, right? Like they look at you like if you screw up, ooh, I'm gonna tell every single body, and I'm gonna make sure that they know you're not perfect so that they don't listen to you too. Like people will go the extra mile to slander you. When I was a contractor, I behaved and act the exact same way. No one cared. When I became a leader, all eyes are on me. I couldn't imagine being a celebrity because people look at them the exact same way. If they screw up, if they do anything, they'll look at them like, I wish you would screw up. Ooh, I'm gonna tell everybody on the internet about you, right? And it's crazy because you're just being yourself and you don't know. So from that, I went to Harvard. I think it was Harvard or Cornell, because I was continuing to do continuous education. Like I had certifications from a whole bunch of different schools: MIT, Cornell, Georgia Tech. What was another one? Harvard, I think. And I think when I went to Harvard, I took leadership principles. Like it was teaching you how to be a leader globally, all over the world and stuff like that. And those classes were cool to me, and I'm glad I got that experience because I told you, as I was dealing with trauma and trying to heal, I noticed something. Growing up, I didn't know what it was like to be a leader because I never saw one. I didn't know what it was like to be a man, a black man as a leader because I never saw one growing up. I was raised by my mom, two sisters, a whole bunch of aunts, grandmothers. My grandfather was in my life, but I didn't grow up with him, so I didn't see him every day, but he was a role model for me. Uncle Phil was a role model. Outside of that, I saw my leaders on television. I didn't really see them in person. So now I'm starting to realize, what? As a man, as a black man, you got to behave a certain type of way, and you don't know what that way is. Most of my peers, like Riley, he was a great leader. Don't get me wrong. We just grew up differently. He was a white man. Most of my peers are white men. Majority of people in corporate are not black. So most of the other men that I saw, we just had a different mentality. So I didn't know what it was like to be a leader coming from a place that I came from, and I had to learn that. Just like I had to teach myself everything else, I had to now teach myself how to be a leader. So I took all type of classes. You got to learn about tact. You got to be tactful with people. You can't just say however you feel. You can't just throw emotion. You got to be more of a coach. You got kind of got to be more like a parent. And I know that sounds crazy. These people are not your kids, but you have to have the patience, love, and care like a parent to really inspire people if you want to be a leader. If you want to be a manager, tell them what to do. You know what I mean? Tell them what to do and be done with it. If you want to be a leader, then you have to be patient. You have to teach. You have to do a lot of different. You have to go the extra mile. And I was used to going the extra mile because that's what I did my whole life. So I was going to go the extra mile regardless. One of my first tasks I had to do when I was a leader, I had to fire somebody. That was one of my first tasks. Riley came to me. He was like, "Look, man, I need you. We got this dude on a PIP, a performance improvement plan. If you're ever on that, when you get the tech, if you're in tech, just know it's not great." And he was like, "Yo, if his performance doesn't get better, then I gotta let him go. So I just need you to talk with him, see what you can do to help. Otherwise, then we gotta fire him." I said, "All right, cool. I was used to. I was a teacher and I was tutoring people too. I'm like, not a problem at all." So I was talking to the dude. And, he was just listening. I was showing him how I work. And remember, I put in the hours. And I don't have tolerance for people that don't work as hard as I do. And they want to question everything. Not to get better, but to question it just to say why. Just to question it just because. With no goal in mind. This guy's name was Aaron Acuna. I'm going to call him Aaron, majority of people that's probably gonna hear this, Aaron, you relate to that, Aaron. But Aaron would ask me questions, and his questions were just like, "Yo, how you do that? Teach me that." And when I hear people and see people that actually care and that actually want to get better, I invest in them. I go, "Okay, yeah, I'll show you everything you need to know." I taught Aaron everything, how I work, how I think, how I behave, how I respond. And we only had a week together, so I taught him as much as I could. Aaron did phenomenal afterwards. I won't talk about his whole career, but from where he was when I met him to how I seen him progress afterwards was completely different. And that inspired me to teach more people. But like I said, I didn't really see leaders growing up. So I almost was too compassionate. I was almost showing a lot of people everything, believing in them because I saw Aaron. And I now realize today, not everyone is Aaron, right? Some people don't want to get better. Some people are like that person that sent the email, attitude, and want to slander your name. But I had to learn that too. When I was growing up, whenever something happened, I seen most men run away from their problems. Most men run away from difficult situations. That's what I saw. I'm not saying all men do that, but that's what I saw. So I never really saw a man stand strong and really go, you know what, this is a problem that's happened to me and I need to overcome it. I need to figure out anything and everything to make sure I overcome it. I didn't see that. So now that I was in the situation of leadership and I saw that I needed to be better, and I saw that I needed to not just work hard on myself, for myself, work hard for other people, that's when I started to get better. That's when I started to say, you know what, I can do this. You know, I don't want to just be a supervisor, a team lead. You know, I want to continue to grow up. I want to be manager, senior manager. I want to reach the top. So that was my mentality moving forward. I worked hard every single day. I got better every single day just to continue to move up, to help as many people as I could. You know, to help as many people as I could. I wasn't doing it for me anymore. I wasn't pursuing money, riches. You know, I wasn't pursuing that anymore. I was on something different. I was looking for something different, and I was looking for that thing, and I wanted to spread that thing to everyone. Right? The cool news, you know, at this time I now have my lady on my side. You know, I got more money, I got more education, and then I knew, you know, things starting to look up, and I can see something major coming on the horizon.